In a world drenched in discord, where the cries of the oppressed echoed through the streets, a young woman named Aurelia stood at the crossroads of uncertainty. The bustling streets of ancient Rome, once vibrant with the wisdom of philosophers, now felt suffocating. The government was corrupt, society was divided, the principles of virtue seemed like whispers lost in the wind. As she navigated her daily life, Aurelia felt a growing sense of unease, a yearning for something greater than the chaos that enveloped her. One fateful evening, Aurelia stumbled upon a gathering in the Forum where the great philosopher Epictetus spoke passionately about the importance of focusing on what we can control. His words ignited a spark within her, a calling to explore the depths of her own being and seek the inner peace that felt so distant. As she listened, she realized that the chaos around her was not as powerful as the strength she held within. Determined to transform her life, Aurelia began to practice the principle of control. She set aside her fears and distractions, focusing on her thoughts and actions. Each morning, she would reflect on the day ahead, identifying what she could influence and accepting what she could not. The tumultuous world outside her window became a backdrop to her internal journey. However, her newfound clarity was soon tested when a close friend betrayed her trust. The pain of betrayal cut deep, and for a moment Aurelia felt herself spiraling into despair. Yet she recalled Epictetus's words, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Drawing on her strength, Aurelia chose to confront her friend with grace, asserting her values while letting go of the need for vindication. This experience fortified her resolve and deepened her understanding of the Stoic principle of control. As Aurelia delved deeper into Stoicism, she encountered the principle of acceptance. Life in Rome continued to unravel, with the political landscape growing darker. But instead of succumbing to despair, she began to embrace each moment as it came. Acceptance meant acknowledging the reality of her circumstances without resistance. One evening, as she walked through the desolate streets, she witnessed a group of families struggling to survive. Moved by their plight, she gathered her resources and organized a community effort to provide food and shelter. In this act of compassion, Aurelia discovered that acceptance was not about passivity, but about actively choosing how to respond to the world around her. Her heart swelled with purpose, and she learned that even in chaos, she could create pockets of hope. With a newfound sense of clarity, Aurelia embraced the discipline of daily practice. She established a routine that included meditation, journaling, and physical training. Each practice cultivated her mind and body, reinforcing her commitment to the Stoic ideals she was learning. But discipline was not without its challenges. One day, after a taxing week, she faltered in her routines. Feeling defeated, she sought solace in the company of friends, only to find that their conversations were steeped in gossip and negativity. It was then that Aurelia realized that discipline extended beyond personal habits. It encompassed her environment as well. She chose to distance herself from toxic influences, reinforcing her commitment to a life grounded in virtue and purpose. As Aurelia's journey progressed, she found herself increasingly drawn to the Stoic concept of virtue. She began to discern the qualities that defined a virtuous life: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Each day she sought opportunities to embody these virtues, both in her personal life and within her community. However, the path to virtue was not straightforward. One day, she faced a moral dilemma when asked to participate in a scheme that would benefit her financially, but harm others. Torn between ambition and integrity, Aurelia wrestled with her decision. Remembering the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, she reflected on the importance of acting for the greater good. Ultimately, she chose honesty and transparency, solidifying her commitment to living virtuously, even when faced with temptation. With her understanding of virtue deepening, Aurelia ventured into the world of politics, seeking to effect change from within. Her ambition fueled her desire to create a better society, but the political arena was fraught with deceit and manipulation. She quickly realized that her ideals were often at odds with the realities of power. Aurelia faced a significant setback when a rival politician accused her of wrongdoing. The chaos of misinformation threatened to undermine her efforts, and for a moment, she felt the weight of despair pressing down on her. Yet she remembered a core Stoic lesson: the obstacle is the way. Instead of retaliating, she chose to focus on her work and let her actions speak for themselves. This experience taught her that true ambition is grounded in virtue and integrity, not in the pursuit of popularity. As Aurelia's journey unfolded, love entered her life in the form of a fellow philosopher named Lucius. Their connection blossomed amidst the chaos, and for the first time, Aurelia experienced the sweetness of companionship. Together, they shared their dreams, explored Stoic philosophy, and supported one another in their endeavors. However, love also brought vulnerability. When Lucius fell gravely ill, Aurelia faced the heart-wrenching reality of potential loss. The fear of losing him threatened to unravel her newfound stability. In this moment of uncertainty, she turned to her Stoic teachings, embracing the principle of acceptance once more. She focused on cherishing the present, expressing her love openly, and preparing for whatever fate had in store. This experience deepened her understanding of love as a source of strength, not weakness. With each lesson learned, Aurelia's journey continued to unfold, weaving together the threads of Stoicism and her personal evolution. She became a beacon of hope in her community, inspiring others to embrace the principles of resilience, acceptance, and virtue. As the world around her remained chaotic, Aurelia discovered that the inner peace she sought was not a destination but a continuous journey, a path shaped by her choices and reflections. Through trials and triumphs, she learned that Stoicism was not just a set of principles, it was a way of life, a compass guiding her through the storm. With each new challenge, Aurelia embraced the teachings of the Stoics, transforming suffering into strength and chaos into clarity. And as she looked toward the horizon, she knew her journey was far from over. As Aurelia's reputation as a philosopher and leader grew, so did the temptations that accompanied her new status. Invitations to lavish parties and gatherings began to pour in, and she found herself at a crossroads. The allure of power and prestige whispered sweetly in her ear, tempting her to abandon her Stoic principles for the sake of acceptance and popularity. One evening, she attended a grand banquet hosted by the elite of Rome. Surrounded by opulence, Aurelia felt a pull toward indulgence. However, as she observed the superficial conversations and hollow laughter around her, she was reminded of the Stoic ideal of temperance. The realization struck her. True fulfillment was not found in external validation, but in living a life aligned with her values. She chose to leave the gathering early, understanding that maintaining integrity was far more rewarding than succumbing to fleeting pleasures. As Aurelia continued to navigate her dual life as a philosopher and political leader, the weight of expectations began to bear down on her. Friends and followers looked to her for guidance, and with each decision, she felt the pressure to be perfect. The chaos of the outside world began to seep into her mind, fueling her insecurities. One day, a close ally confronted her about a recent decision she made, questioning her judgment. The conversation left Aurelia shaken, and doubt crept in. In this vulnerable moment, she turned to her journal, pouring her thoughts onto the pages. She recalled the Stoic principle of self-acceptance, that it is impossible to please everyone, and that true worth comes from within. Embracing this lesson, she resolved to prioritize her values over external approval, reminding herself that imperfection is part of the human experience. Fear began to loom large in Aurelia's life, manifesting as anxiety about potential failures and losses. The stakes felt higher than ever, and the thought of disappointing her community weighed heavily on her heart. In her quest for inner peace, she had to confront the shadows of fear that threatened to consume her. During one particularly restless night, Aurelia recalled a teaching from Epictetus. Fear is not an enemy. It is a guide. Inspired, she decided to face her fears head-on. She wrote down her anxieties, dissecting each one to understand its root cause. By acknowledging her fears, she diminished their power over her. Through this process, she learned that fear could be a teacher, illuminating the areas where she needed to grow and adapt. Fear began to loom large in Aurelia's life, manifesting as anxiety about potential failures and losses. The stakes felt higher than ever, and the thought of disappointing her community weighed heavily on her heart. In her quest for inner peace, she had to confront the shadows of fear that threatened to consume her. During one particularly restless night, Aurelia recalled a teaching from Epictetus. Fear is not an enemy, it is a guide. Inspired, she decided to face her fears head-on. She wrote down her anxieties, dissecting each one to understand its root cause. By acknowledging her fears, she diminished their power over her. Through this process, she learned that fear could be a teacher, illuminating the areas where she needed to grow and adapt. In her journey, Aurelia encountered individuals from her past who had wronged her. Old wounds resurfaced, and she struggled with feelings of resentment and anger. The chaos of her emotions threatened to derail her progress. It was then that she remembered the Stoic principle of forgiveness, recognizing that holding on to grudges only weighed her down. One afternoon, she sought out a former friend who had betrayed her trust years before. As they sat together, Aurelia spoke openly about her feelings and the pain caused by their fallout. To her surprise, her friend expressed remorse and regret. In that moment of vulnerability, Aurelia realized that forgiveness was not about excusing the past but liberating herself from its grip. By choosing to forgive, she reclaimed her power and found peace in her heart. With each lesson learned, Aurelia's understanding of herself deepened. She began to explore her own identity beyond the roles she played in society. Who was she without the titles of leader, philosopher, or friend? This introspection sparked a journey of self-discovery, prompting her to ask difficult questions about her desires and motivations. During a reflective retreat in the countryside, Aurelia immersed herself in nature, allowing the tranquility to guide her thoughts. As she walked among the trees, she pondered her passions and aspirations. She realized that her true calling was not just to lead, but to inspire others to find their own paths to inner peace. This revelation filled her with purpose, igniting a fire within her to share her journey with the world. The winds of change swept through Rome as political tensions escalated. Aurelia found herself faced with new challenges that tested her adaptability. Old alliances shifted, and the landscape of power was in constant flux. As chaos reigned, she had to navigate these uncertainties while remaining true to her Stoic principles. One day, a sudden decree from the Senate threatened to dismantle the very community she had built. Instead of reacting with panic, Aurelia took a step back, grounding herself in the Stoic principle of adaptability. She gathered her followers and encouraged them to brainstorm solutions together. Through open dialogue and collaboration, they devised a new strategy that not only preserved their community, but strengthened their resolve. This experience reinforced her belief that flexibility in the face of change is essential for growth. As Aurelia's journey continued, she encountered the virtue of patience. In a world where instant gratification was the norm, she often felt the pressure to achieve results quickly. However, the Stoic teachings reminded her that true progress takes time and perseverance. When she launched a new initiative to educate the youth in her community, the initial response was lukewarm. Frustration bubbled within her, but she chose to practice patience. Instead of rushing to change her approach, she took the time to listen to feedback and understand the needs of her audience. With each passing day, she refined her program, and slowly but surely, interest grew. Through this experience, Aurelia learned that patience is not a passive state but an active commitment to nurturing growth. Amidst her pursuits, Aurelia faced the harsh reality of mortality when she lost a beloved mentor. The grief was overwhelming, and for a time, she struggled to find her footing. It was in this moment of sorrow that she turned to the Stoic reflection on death, a powerful teacher in the art of living. In her mourning, Aurelia discovered the importance of cherishing each moment. She began to meditate on the impermanence of life, reminding herself that every day is a gift. This perspective shifted her focus from fear of loss to gratitude for the time shared with those she loved. Embracing the lessons of mortality, she vowed to live fully, with intention and purpose, honoring the legacy of her mentor through her actions. With a renewed sense of purpose, Aurelia felt a calling to serve her community more deeply. She recognized that the principles of Stoicism were not just for personal growth, but also for the betterment of society. Inspired by this realization, she organized community service initiatives that embodied the Stoic virtues of justice and compassion. One such initiative involved providing education and resources to the underprivileged families in her neighborhood. The response was overwhelming as many joined her cause, eager to make a difference. As they worked side by side, Aurelia witnessed the transformative power of community action. In serving others, she found fulfillment and a sense of belonging, reinforcing her belief that true happiness is rooted in contributing to the greater good. As Aurelia's journey unfolded, she began to practice gratitude daily. She realized that amidst the chaos, there were countless blessings to acknowledge. Each morning, she expressed gratitude for the simple joys: sunshine, laughter, and the support of her community. This practice became a cornerstone of her Stoic philosophy, shifting her focus from what was lacking to what was abundant. One evening, during a gathering with friends, Aurelia shared her gratitude practices. Inspired by her words, others joined in, creating a circle of appreciation. Together, they reflected on their lives, celebrating the small victories and lessons learned. In this moment of connection, Aurelia recognized the profound impact gratitude has in fostering resilience and unity within a community. As Aurelia's influence grew, she grappled with the balance between ambition and contentment. Her desire to effect change burned bright, but she also recognized the importance of finding joy in the present moment. The Stoic philosophy taught her that ambition should not overshadow the beauty of life unfolding around her. During a quiet evening of reflection, she pondered her goals and aspirations. Instead of fixating solely on future achievements, she began to embrace the journey itself. Each step, no matter how small, held significance. This newfound balance allowed her to pursue her ambitions with passion, while remaining anchored in gratitude for the present. Aurelia learned that true contentment arises from aligning her actions with her values rather than seeking validation through success alone. As Aurelia's journey progressed, she recognized the profound strength of community. As she faced challenges, she leaned on her network of allies, friends, and mentors. The Stoic principle of interconnectedness reminded her that they were all part of a larger tapestry, woven together by shared values and goals. One day, she organized a neighborhood gathering, inviting individuals from diverse backgrounds to share their experiences and dreams. As they spoke, Aurelia felt the power of connection strengthen. This gathering became a catalyst for collaboration, inspiring new initiatives that addressed the needs of the community. Through this experience, she learned that true leadership is rooted in fostering relationships and nurturing a sense of belonging. Aurelia's influence continued to grow. She faced challenges that tested her integrity. The political landscape was often murky, and temptations to compromise her values loomed large. The Stoic principle of integrity became her guiding light, reminding her to remain true to herself. During a pivotal Senate meeting, Aurelia was presented with a proposal that promised immediate benefits, but came at the cost of ethical considerations. The pressure to conform weighed heavily on her, but she paused to reflect on her values. Drawing on her Stoic teachings, she made the courageous decision to oppose the proposal, advocating for transparency and accountability. This experience reinforced her understanding that integrity is not only essential for personal growth, but also for inspiring others to uphold their values. As Aurelia continued her journey, she discovered the strength that lies in vulnerability. In a world that often equates vulnerability with weakness, she recognized that true strength comes from embracing one's authentic self. The Stoic principle of vulnerability became a powerful tool in her leadership. During a community gathering, Aurelia chose to share her own struggles and fears, revealing the challenges she faced as a leader. As she spoke, she witnessed the impact of her vulnerability on others. People began to share their own experiences, creating a space of connection and understanding. This experience taught her that vulnerability is not a liability, but a bridge that fosters empathy and understanding. As Aurelia's journey progressed, she contemplated her legacy and the impact she wanted to leave on her community. The Stoic principle of legacy became a focal point in her reflections, guiding her decisions and actions. One evening, while sitting by the river, Aurelia envisioned a future where her community thrived, steeped in the principles of justice, compassion, and resilience. With renewed determination, she committed to living in alignment with her values, understanding that every action contributes to a larger narrative. This reflection inspired her to continue advocating for positive change, knowing that her efforts could create ripples of transformation for generations to come. As Aurelia looked toward the future, she felt a profound sense of purpose. Her journey had not only transformed her own life, but had also inspired countless others to embrace the teachings of Stoicism. The legacy she sought to leave behind was one of resilience, compassion, and unwavering commitment to justice. In the months that followed, Aurelia continued to advocate for positive change, empowering her community to rise above chaos and uncertainty. She organized workshops, discussions, and community initiatives that encouraged individuals to embody Stoic principles in their daily lives. As her influence grew, so did the collective strength of the community, united by the shared values of empathy, integrity, and hope. Through her journey, Aurelia had learned that the path of a Stoic leader is not just about personal growth, but about uplifting others and fostering a sense of belonging. Her legacy would live on in the hearts of those she had touched, reminding them that together, they could navigate the complexities of life with resilience and courage. As Aurelia stood at the forefront of change, she knew that the principles of Stoicism would continue to guide her and her community for generations to come.